The rain tapped softly against the apartment windows, creating a steady rhythm that seemed to echo Alex's own heartbeat. The city outside was a blur of neon reflections and wet asphalt, a world rushing past without notice. Inside, the apartment was a sanctuary of muted warmth, a place where Alex could breathe, think, and, most importantly, hide. It was a place where he could be himself, or at least the version of himself that he never showed anyone. Alex, 26, worked in marketing by day, presenting as confident, sharp, and undeniably male. But at home, when the door clicked shut behind him, a different side emerged, a side he cherished, one that the world would never accept, and a side he feared sharing with even the closest people in his life. Crossdressing wasn't just a hobby for him. It was a necessity of the soul, a way to explore the depths of identity that had long been stifled by societal expectation and family pressure. Tonight, he had chosen carefully. A soft cream dress with subtle lace trim, long enough to just graze his knees, paired with nude heels that elevated him, forcing a posture that was unfamiliar yet intoxicating. Each item of clothing, each delicate brushstroke of makeup, was a ritual, a careful peeling away of the public persona to reveal the truth he had hidden for years. Alex's relationship with Emma, his girlfriend of 2 years, had always been a delicate balance of love and caution. Emma was supportive in ways she could be, but Alex's secret life as a crossdresser had never been fully shared. He feared her reaction, not because he doubted her love, but because he feared judgment, the subtle disappointment or confusion that might fracture the bond they had built so carefully. Yet, despite this fear, the desire to be seen, even partially, by someone he trusted completely, gnawed at him. The apartment smelled faintly of vanilla candles and rain, a comforting scent that mingled with the soft rustle of fabric as Alex moved through the small space. He paused by the mirror in the bedroom, taking in his reflection. The transformation wasn't just physical, it was emotional. The soft curves of the dress, the way the heels forced him into an elegant gait, the subtle shimmer of eyeshadow highlighting his eyes, all of it made him feel exposed and empowered at once. He was vulnerable, yes, but he also felt alive in ways the outside world would never allow. Yet tonight carried a heavier weight than usual. Alex's family had recently become a source of tension, though he had believed he could keep them at bay. A casual comment from his mother at the last family gathering had stung more than he anticipated. "You've changed so much lately. I just hope you're making the right choices." It wasn't overtly accusatory, but the underlying tone, judgment mixed with subtle disappointment, gnawed at him. He had promised himself that his secret would remain just that, a secret. But the words lingered, haunting him as he adjusted the hem of his dress and smoothed the fabric across his thighs. Emma's message pinged softly on his phone, pulling him from the mirror's reflection. "I'll be home late tonight, don't wait up. Can't wait to see you this weekend." The casual warmth of the text made Alex's chest tighten with both relief and longing. Emma's absence would give him the freedom to fully immerse himself in his private identity, to explore, to experiment, to be unapologetically himself. Yet even in this freedom, a gnawing anxiety remained. The fear that any slip, any accidental discovery, could shatter not only the sanctuary of his apartment but the fragile trust that held his life together. Alex moved to the living room, the cream dress flowing lightly with each step. He set a cup of tea on the coffee table, savoring the warmth in his hands. Each small movement, the tilt of his head, the shift of his weight, the brush of fabric against his skin, was heightened, charged with a tension that was both thrilling and terrifying. He wasn't just dressing up. He was performing, navigating a world of dual identities with the skill of someone who had spent years perfecting the art of concealment. Despite the comfort of the apartment, a shadow lingered in Alex's thoughts: family. He loved them, yes, but their expectations were suffocating. Their subtle pressures, their quiet judgments, and their insistence on conformity had left deep marks. Tonight, the thought of them, the potential for discovery, the risk of betrayal, made his skin prickle. Every sound outside, every unexpected knock, sent a jolt of panic through him. The idea that someone could walk in, someone who could expose him, hovered at the edge of his consciousness like a storm cloud ready to break. Alex's reflection in the mirror caught his attention again. The person staring back was poised, delicate, undeniably feminine. The combination of vulnerability and strength in the image was intoxicating. He traced a finger along the curve of his cheek, feeling the cool powder of foundation beneath his skin, and allowed himself a small, private smile. This was who he was when no one else was watching, and part of him longed for the day when he could reveal this side of himself without fear. The clock ticked steadily toward evening. Emma would not be home for hours, and yet Alex couldn't shake the lingering anxiety. The thrill of secrecy was always intertwined with the fear of exposure, and tonight, it felt sharper than ever. He moved slowly, deliberately, testing the sway of the dress, adjusting his hair, and brushing his heels across the polished floor. Each motion reminded him of the fine line he walked, the balance between who he was inside and the world that would never fully understand. A sudden thought struck him. What if this sanctuary wasn't as safe as he believed? What if family suspicion had grown, and tonight they decided to intervene, to confront, to betray him? The very idea sent shivers down his spine. His sanctuary, his apartment, the delicate cocoon of freedom he had created, could be shattered at any moment. And yet, despite the fear, there was an undeniable thrill, a rush of adrenaline that made him feel more alive, more real, than he had ever felt in public or in the harsh scrutiny of family expectations. Alex's hands trembled slightly as he adjusted the hem of his dress one last time. The city outside continued its endless motion, oblivious to the quiet tension within the apartment walls. He took a deep breath, steadying himself, and whispered to the mirror, "Tonight, I'm just me. No one else." And with that, he settled into the soft sofa, heels crossed delicately, the warmth of the tea in his hands, and the quiet thrill of living in a secret world. Alone, yet on the brink of discovery. Little did he know, the storm he feared was closer than he imagined, and the betrayal that would shake the foundation of his carefully hidden life was about to arrive, disguised as love, concern, and family loyalty. The apartment felt quieter than usual. The rain outside had slowed to a steady drizzle, and the city's neon lights flickered through the windows, casting playful reflections on the walls. Alex sank deeper into the sofa, the soft cream dress settling delicately around his legs, heels crossed with careful precision. The moment was supposed to be his alone, a private exploration of identity, a retreat from the world that demanded conformity. Yet the shadow of fear lingered, creeping along the edges of his consciousness. He picked up his makeup kit, spreading it across the coffee table like a carefully orchestrated ritual. Each brush, each palette, each small bottle of foundation or lipstick was a tool, a key to unlocking the version of himself he cherished in secret. The transformation wasn't superficial, it was emotional, spiritual. With every stroke of makeup, he shed layers of societal expectation and slid closer to the person he truly longed to be. Alex's mind wandered to his family, the very people who had unknowingly fueled his secrecy. His mother's subtle judgments, his father's quiet disappointment, even his younger sister's teasing. Every interaction had been a reminder that his true self could never be safely revealed. Yet tonight, alone and cloaked in the sanctuary of his apartment, he felt a defiant thrill. He was reclaiming a piece of himself, one brushstroke, one delicate sway of the dress, one careful adjustment of heels at a time. He began with his eyes, carefully applying eyeliner, the precise lines framing the green of his irises. The process was meditative, focusing his attention on something tangible while his mind replayed old memories, family gatherings, subtle jabs, and the tiny betrayals that had accumulated over the years. Alex felt both excitement and dread. The excitement was intoxicating. The dread was inevitable. Every stroke reminded him how vulnerable he was, how easily his secret could be shattered. Once the eyes were done, he moved to blush, the soft pink dusted over his cheekbones, enhancing the delicate contours of his face. He admired the reflection, tracing the curve of his jaw, the softness of his features now highlighted and undeniable. Each step of the transformation was a dance between fear and exhilaration. The fear of being discovered clashed violently with the thrill of being fully seen, even if only by his own reflection. He picked a soft lipstick, the shade a muted rose that complemented the dress perfectly. As he applied it, he traced the memory of Emma's eyes, her subtle warmth and curiosity, wondering how she would react if she saw him like this. The thought brought a flush of both warmth and panic. He had never shared this side of himself with her fully. Would she accept it? Would she laugh? Or would it be the spark that ignited the first true betrayal, by someone he trusted completely? The heels were next. He lifted each foot delicately, sliding it into the shoes that elevated him physically and emotionally. The sensation was foreign yet thrilling. The subtle arch of his feet, the unfamiliar posture, the delicate sway it forced in his gait. Walking across the apartment, he felt transformed not just externally but internally, each step reinforcing the duality he lived with, the man known to the world, and the secret feminine persona that thrived in solitude. Alex paused mid-step, catching his reflection in the full-length mirror. The transformation was almost complete. The dress, the makeup, the heels, all of it formed a delicate facade, a visual representation of who he was when no one else was watching. He ran a hand through his hair, smoothing it gently, and felt the vulnerability in that gesture. He was exposed, yes, but alive in a way that public life never allowed. A soft ping from his phone startled him. It was a message from Emma. Running a bit late. Hope your evening's relaxing. Relief washed over him, mixed with a renewed anxiety. She wouldn't be home for hours, which meant he had time, but time was also a double-edged sword. The longer he lingered in this persona, the higher the stakes became. What if someone from his family discovered him? What if a careless noise, a forgotten item, or even an unexpected visitor shattered the delicate balance? Alex shook the thought away, focusing instead on the sensations, the silk against his skin, the subtle sway of the dress with each movement, the heightened awareness of his body in heels. He walked slowly across the apartment, letting the transformation settle in. Every click of the heels on the polished floor was a heartbeat, a pulse, a reminder that he was both vulnerable and empowered. But even as he savored the private thrill, a creeping unease took hold. His phone buzzed again, this time an unknown number. Hesitation froze him, and then curiosity won. He swiped the message open, and his stomach sank. We need to talk. I know what you've been hiding. Come home. The words hit him like a tidal wave. The message wasn't from a stranger, it was unmistakably from his sister. Betrayal, shock, and fear collided in his chest. Every carefully crafted moment of privacy, every brushstroke, every delicate adjustment of dress and heels suddenly felt fragile, ready to crumble. Alex sank back onto the sofa, the dress pooling elegantly around his knees. His mind raced with possibilities. His family had always been subtly controlling, but he never expected direct confrontation. The thrill of cross-dressing, once exhilarating, now mingled with an urgent, gnawing panic. Should he hide? Should he confront them? Or was it already too late, the secret laid bare before any word was even spoken? His reflection in the mirror seemed to mock him, the duality of his life staring back with unflinching honesty. The woman in the cream dress, poised, vulnerable, delicate, was both him and a reminder of everything at stake. The man the world knew, the man who lived cautiously under the scrutiny of family, was here too, trapped in indecision, panic, and fear. A soft knock at the door jolted him. He froze, heart pounding, heels clicking involuntarily against the floor as he rose to his feet. The knock came again, more insistent this time, and Alex's pulse raced. He wasn't ready. He wasn't safe. And yet, the door loomed before him, threatening exposure. The apartment that had felt like a sanctuary a moment ago now seemed like a trap. Every element of his transformation, the dress, the heels, the makeup, was evidence, proof of a hidden life he had nurtured in secret. And now, someone outside knew, or at least suspected, that secret. Alex's hands trembled as he debated his options. Hide? Confront? Run? The thrill that had carried him through the evening now collided violently with fear. The duality of his life, the delicate persona he cherished and the cautious man he presented to the world, was about to face a reckoning. He glanced once more at the mirror. The reflection was stark, undeniable. Vulnerable yet defiant. Exposed yet alive. The apartment, once a sanctuary, had become the stage for a suspenseful confrontation he wasn't ready for, but one he could no longer avoid. With a deep, shuddering breath, Alex moved toward the door. Each step in his heels echoed ominously in the apartment, the sound a countdown to the moment when secrecy, trust, and betrayal would collide. The thrill, the fear, the vulnerability, and the excitement, all were converging, and there was no turning back. Alex's hands shook as he reached for the door handle. The knock came again, sharp and insistent, and his heart seemed to leap into his throat. He hesitated, caught between the thrill of his private self and the paralyzing fear of exposure. With a trembling breath, he slowly cracked the door open, just enough to see who stood outside. It was his sister, Lila, her eyes wide and serious, lips pressed into a thin line. She didn't smile. She didn't hesitate. Alex, I know, she said flatly, her voice low but carrying weight. I know what you've been hiding. The words hit him like a sledgehammer. Every moment of secrecy, every delicate, private ritual of cross-dressing, every thrill and vulnerability he had nurtured, suddenly, it was all exposed. His heart raced, and he felt the dress cling uncomfortably against his skin as adrenaline coursed through him. What do you mean? Alex managed, his voice trembling. He tried to mask his panic with confusion, but Lila's sharp gaze saw through it immediately. "Don't play dumb," she said, stepping forward. "I've seen the messages, the photos, everything. And you think you could hide it from me?" Alex's mind spun. He felt the urge to retreat, to close the door, to vanish into the sanctuary of his apartment. But the heels under his feet made sudden movement precarious, each step a reminder of his exposed state. His identity, carefully hidden, was now in the crosshairs of betrayal by someone he had loved and trusted. It's not what you think," he began, the words faltering. I need this. It's who I am." "You've been living a lie," Lila interrupted, her voice rising slightly, though still controlled. "And I can't let it go unnoticed. Mom and Dad, they need to know. They need to understand." Fear and panic collided with the thrill he felt in his dress and heels. Alex's body tensed as he realized the magnitude of the situation. His sanctuary, his identity, his carefully crafted secret, was at risk of being stripped away in an instant. He backed toward the living room, the dress swaying delicately, the heels clicking loudly against the hardwood floor. "No. Please, you don't understand," Alex pleaded. "This isn't about them. It's about me being able to exist in a way I can feel alive. If they find out, I can't." Lila's eyes softened slightly, just enough to sting. "Alex, I love you. But secrets like this, they destroy trust. I didn't want to be the one to force this out, but I had to. We need to handle it together." Alex's pulse pounded violently. He could feel the sweat at his temples, the warmth under his dress, the tension in every muscle. Every instinct screamed to run, to hide, to vanish into the shadows. But the confrontation was here, unavoidable. The thrill of being exposed, the ultimate test of his dual life, mingled with fear in a way that made his heart race uncontrollably. "You don't get it," he said, voice breaking. I can't live like them want me to. I need this. I need to be me, even if it's just for a little while, even if it's in secret." Lila's expression softened further, but there was steel beneath it. "Then let's find a way for you to be you without hiding forever, Alex. But lying, hiding, that's not healthy. And the risk, it's too high. Mom and Dad will react. You can't keep this locked away." The apartment felt smaller, every shadow amplified, every reflection in the mirror a reminder of duality and exposure. Alex's reflection stared back at him. The soft cream dress, the delicate heels, the carefully applied makeup, all of it vulnerable, all of it real. He wanted to disappear into it, to vanish into the identity he had nurtured in secrecy. But the confrontation forced a decision. Run and hide, or stand and face the truth. His sister was calm but firm, a force he could not ignore. His pulse raced as he realized the choice had consequences far beyond the apartment walls. The tension spiked further when the phone buzzed. Emma's message. "I'll be home soon, can't wait to see you." The reminder of her impending return compounded the fear. He was exposed, vulnerable, and potentially betrayed, all while Emma would soon walk into a scene that could redefine everything. Alex's mind raced. Should he try to hide the dress, the heels, the makeup? Could he explain without shattering the delicate trust between him, his sister, and his girlfriend? Each option carried risk, each choice a potential disaster. Suddenly, a loud knock at the main door interrupted their tense conversation. Another layer of suspense crashed into the room. Alex froze, heels clicking involuntarily as he took a step toward the living room. Lila's face paled slightly. "Mom," she whispered. Alex's stomach sank. The woman he had feared most, his mother, who had always enforced conformity and subtly manipulated his life, was now moments away from discovering the truth. The thrill of crossdressing, the private exhilaration, now clashed violently with the terror of exposure. Every heartbeat echoed in his ears like a warning drum. Alex backed into the bedroom, his heels clattering against the hardwood, the cream dress swaying. He could feel the vulnerability of every element. The soft fabric against his thighs, the delicate swish of his hair, the subtle shimmer of makeup reflecting in the mirror. This was him, fully exposed, both emotionally and physically, and yet he had nowhere to hide. The knock at the door came again, more forceful this time. The storm of fear, betrayal, and vulnerability reached a crescendo. Alex's breath came in short, sharp bursts. His reflection in the mirror seemed almost accusatory, the duality of his life staring him in the face. The man everyone knew, trapped in hesitation and fear, and the woman he had nurtured in secret, delicate and radiant, ready to be seen, whether the world accepted it or not. Lila whispered again. Alex, you have to decide. Hide? Face them? Tell the truth? We can't control what they'll do, but we can control how we respond. The decision felt impossible. The apartment, once a sanctuary, had become a battlefield. Every element of his private self, the dress, the heels, the makeup, was a symbol of freedom, vulnerability, and risk. And yet, the confrontation was inevitable. Alex took a shaky step forward, his heels clicking in rhythm with the pounding of his heart. The knock at the door intensified, echoing through the apartment like a drumbeat of judgment and suspense. Every nerve in his body screamed, every instinct demanded retreat, but he knew that hiding would no longer protect him. As he raised a hand to open the bedroom door, the storm outside mirrored the turmoil inside. Rain lashed against the windows, wind rattled the frames, and thunder rolled across the city. The tension was unbearable. Every second stretched into eternity. And then, just as Alex's trembling hand touched the doorknob, the scene froze, suspended in a moment of ultimate suspense. The viewer is left with the image of Alex, standing in his heels, cream dress swaying, makeup flawless, caught between revelation and concealment, with Lila by his side and the storm of potential betrayal, both family and Emma, looming at the door. Every question hangs in the air. Will Alex's secret survive? How will his family react? Will Emma walk into this scene? Can he maintain his identity while navigating this storm? Alex's hand froze on the doorknob, the cool metal pressing into his palm. Outside, the knocks had stopped for a moment, replaced by a tense silence, the kind that screams of waiting. Every beat of his heart felt deafening in the quiet of the apartment. The cream dress clung to him like a second skin, the heels forcing his body into a posture of delicate vulnerability. He glanced at Lila, who watched him with wide, unreadable eyes, part concern, part resolve. The sound of the lock turning on the apartment door echoed through the room. Alex swallowed hard, trying to steady the tremor in his chest. His mind raced, spinning possibilities faster than he could process. Would his mother storm in, full of judgment and accusations? Or would she pause, giving him a chance to explain? And what about Emma? How would she react if she arrived at this exact moment? Every scenario felt terrifyingly plausible, each outcome carrying consequences that could shatter his carefully constructed world. He took a slow step back from the door, his heels clicking sharply against the hardwood. The dress swayed lightly with each movement, a subtle, almost mocking reminder of his exposed state. Lila's hand brushed his shoulder, grounding him, but it did little to ease the tight knot of fear in his stomach. Alex, she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Whatever happens, just be honest. Be yourself. You can't hide anymore. Her words were meant to comfort, but they had the opposite effect. Honesty felt like a double-edged sword, a lifeline and a threat all at once. If he revealed everything, he risked rejection, judgment, and humiliation. If he stayed silent, he risked further betrayal, the revelation coming in a less controlled, more destructive way. Suddenly, the apartment door clicked, signaling that someone was about to enter. Alex froze completely, his body rigid, every nerve on edge. The rain outside hammered against the windows, punctuating the silence with chaotic rhythm. He could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins, every heartbeat threatening to betray him. A shadow appeared in the doorway, vague at first, then slowly coming into focus. Alex's breath caught. The figure was unmistakable, his mother. Her eyes widened slightly as she took in the scene, a flicker of shock crossing her face. Then, almost immediately, the expression hardened, a mixture of anger, confusion, and concern painting her features. Alex's mind raced. He wanted to speak, to explain, to justify, to make her understand that this was not a phase, not a joke, not something to mock. But his voice refused to cooperate, caught somewhere between fear and defiance. The room felt impossibly small, every shadow stretching toward him like a threat. Emma's arrival was another ticking clock in the chaos. The thought of her walking through the door at any moment, seeing him like this, vulnerable, exposed, caught between family and his secret identity, made his chest tighten painfully. Every instinct screamed to hide, to flee, to retreat into the shadows of anonymity. But he was trapped, poised between revelation and concealment, every option carrying its own weight of consequence. Lila shifted slightly, her hand still on his shoulder. Alex, you have to make a choice. Now. The words reverberated through him. The choice wasn't just about his secret anymore. It was about trust, love, identity, and survival. It was about whether he could finally stand as himself in front of the people who mattered, or whether he would continue to live in shadows, constantly on the brink of discovery. The tension peaked as the door opened slowly. Alex's heart skipped, each second stretching into eternity. The room seemed to hold its breath, the rain outside turning into a deafening roar against the windows, the sound of the city fading beneath the storm inside his apartment. And then, the scene seemed to hold its breath, the rain outside turning into a deafening roar against the windows, the sound of the city fading beneath the storm inside his apartment. And then, the scene froze in the viewer's mind. Alex, poised in his cream dress, heels clicking softly, makeup flawless, eyes wide with fear and anticipation. Lila behind him, tense but resolute. The doorway just beginning to reveal the figure of his mother, her expression unreadable, a moment pregnant with possibility and danger. The story hangs there, unresolved. Will Alex's secret be exposed fully? How will his mother react to seeing him like this? What will Lila do next? And what happens when Emma arrives? Viewers are left at the edge of their seats, caught in the suspense of Alex's dual life. The tension, vulnerability, and emotional stakes are all magnified, leaving the audience desperate to know what happens next.